Hello and welcome back, YouTube. It's still Monday, May 15th, 2023, 11:42 p.m. So yeah, not a whole lot of Monday left. I've been walking for a while and also sitting for a while. I can see a shadow of a pedestrian jaywalking in the distance. I'm sure this camera is not even catching that guy's outline. I can barely see him with my eyes. There you go. Y'all were able to see him. That was amazing. Anyway. Oh, and Tavera Castle. All lit up. Looking cool. Looking very cool. Yeah, so I've been walking for a while since the Circle K. And sitting. I've kind of hopped a squat and played with my cell phone a couple of times. I don't know exactly where I'm going. Trying to find the old lady that's been my companion since late Saturday night. And feeling an incredible amount of guilt in the way I left her behind. And mind you, I did not leave her behind with any intention to ditch her. I dig this driveway. It goes directly to the north to Tavera Castle. I'm probably mispronouncing that, by the way. This is a pretty scenic view through the skate. Not that you can see it. Not that you can see it through... Not that you can see it on this camera at night. But hey, I love this sign that they added here. Oh, never mind. It doesn't say what it said. What I thought it said. I thought it said no drug zone, and I was going to be a little sarcastic about how, yeah, put up a sign that'll stop people from doing drugs. And then I realized that it's actually a no drone zone. PCC 2449. As much as I'm into law, I have no freaking idea what PCC stands for. I'm going to assume Phoenix City Code, but I don't know for sure. Anyway, that's kind of a shame, because I would imagine this is an area that it would make for some great drone footage. Of course, I would be concerned that it's a little too close to Sky Harbor, which wouldn't be a Phoenix City Code issue. It would be a FAA issue. But I would imagine the city of Phoenix police can enforce PCC easier than they can afford FAA laws. So, 2 out of 2 bus stops that I've passed with somebody sleeping on them. It's so dark you probably all can't see that. I'm on Obamaphone 4, which shoots terrible in low light. You know, the funny thing is I've heard my other phone making sound like it's receiving stuff. Oh yeah, it's been receiving some messages and stuff. Just stuff from YouTube, because it's pretty disconnected on everything. Oh no, it's been receiving some stuff from Reddit as well. Yeah, Obamaphone 3 is an odd little device. I'm glad it's working again, even with its screen being completely screwed up. Not only does it shoot notably better video than this, and is definitely worthy of me getting a sizable SD card in it so I can start using it as my main video shooting device. But although I'm not going to be able to run image stabilization on the video I shot on it tonight. I just realized that, because running the image stabilization filter, you need, which I don't run that on all my videos, but I've been running in some of them using the image stabilization on Obamaphone 4, which I think is built into the default image editor in more recent versions of Android, which both of these phones have. Pretty sure that option's in there. You know, I don't even know if that option's in there. Let me check. Because that's the most important thing I could be doing while walking down Washington Street in front of La Girl's all-new cabaret at almost midnight. Okay, there's the video. Whoa, no, we do not want to delete that. Whoopsie. Oh, so yeah, it even gave me a warning right there. I don't know if y'all can see that. Low storage available. There may not be enough space on this device to save changes you make. Okay. Yeah, at least this one's kind enough to warn me. But yeah, I know there's absolutely no way I could run image stabilization on this video. Because in order to do that, you have to have, at the bare minimum, as much space as the video that you're wanting to run image stabilization on, because it saves a new video file. And then some. Yeah, there's the icon right there, though. That's it. When you get the little video editor, it's that little icon right there. That's the one. So, yeah, if I got myself a micro SD card, that would be pretty inexpensive. Even as dire as my financial situation is now, and as bad as my potential unemployment situation is right now, I think I can justify spending the money on a decent micro SD card. I should maybe look for one of those on Amazon while I still have a chance of being able to use my 10% employee discount. Anyway, I got a feeling those videos, when I run the image stabilization on it, will probably look pretty decent. And it's worth noting that those light rail's still running. Route 1 bus along Washington Street. I'm pretty sure it's not. Yeah, since I've been walking on Washington, I haven't seen any buses on Washington, but I've seen quite a few trains. So, and why is that relevant? And why is there a bus route on a road that has a train? Because many of the train stops are as many as 2 or more miles apart, especially in this area, whereas the bus stops every quarter mile. So the place I'm coming up to, I don't know that if I've mentioned it in my blog, it's been a long time since I've mentioned it in my blog, like well over a year and a half. I'm on my way to a small, office park. I want to say office building, but it's a series of small one-story buildings that all look pretty identical. It's pretty common architecture. In fact, while I was out with my friend today, first time I sent him into the wrong one because these buildings have so little character that the complex, a couple lots further to the east, I mistook it for it and they don't look identical, but it's just pretty bland architecture. But anyway, single story office park, which I'm almost to, just happens to house 2 major offices for, that are basically social safety nets, that are services for the poor, the homeless, the downtrodden, the people who don't live at this gated community and drive nice cars and have vehicular privilege. Grayson on the Trail Apartments, see 3 people. Notice those last 2 didn't need a code to get in there. You better bet your ass I could walk swiftly and get through that gate. So that gate, the protection that gate offers people that they think it offers them, it's a facade. Do I even need to walk swiftly? I'm just walking at a pretty normal pace and that gate ain't closed yet. Oh, it's starting to close. Yeah, I'm not going to go in there, but I'll tell you, if I'd have walked swiftly whatsoever, I'd be in that gated complex that supposedly is safe and protected. Safe and protected, because it's gated. I can still run through it. It still ain't closed yet. Your gate ain't protecting shit, people. And you better believe it would take zero effort for me to hoist my old ass up on this cement wall and right over that fence. That fence isn't protecting shit. But did y'all see how the last two vehicles in line just drove right in? When I was a cab driver, that is usually how I got into gated complexes. I could usually just pull over the spotlight over there and just kick it. And at that point, I would contact my dispatch and be like, hey, I need a gate code. Now, granted, I was an experienced enough cab driver that most of the time when I was given a call for an apartment complex that is gated and has a gate code like that, most of the time I know, like, yeah, that's gated. And I would just respond immediately with, yeah, what's the gate code? They didn't give us a gate code. Well, you better get it. I'm going to need it. And I had some dispatchers who get snippy with that. Well, if they needed a gate code, they would have given us. They said they didn't have a gate code. I'm telling you, they lied. I'll see when I get there how much you want to wager on this. Are you betting? Are you betting, man? God, I was such a pain in the ass when I was a cab driver for voice dispatchers, but it sure was entertainment for everybody. Anyway, yeah, so more luxury pack and stack apartments right there. So yeah, luxury apartments right there. We just went in. Oh, and it was just saying I'd usually pull over and I would get there and contact my dispatcher, and that would be my yeah, I told you so moment. I'm like, yeah, there's a gate. They're not waiting out front. You said they'd be waiting out front. They're not waiting out front. And I'm at the gate. So can you either get them out here or tell them I need a gate code? And the odds were about 80% that before the dispatcher got back with me to let me know that they were walking out, and the alternative got back to me with a gate code, that somebody would just roll in like that and I would just roll through the gate right behind them. And it wasn't unusual for me when I would, I go to their door and knock on their door. Now that does seem to be lost in the era of ride sharing. Hey, at least nobody can fault Waymo for that. You definitely don't want a self-driving car coming up and knocking on your door. But it sure would be nice if Uber drivers and Lyft drivers knocked on doors. At this point, regular cab drivers don't really do that anymore. But when I was a cab driver, that was certainly part of the service I offered. I went up and knocked on doors, and if they needed help carrying luggage or whatever to the car, I tried to assist them with that, in hopes that I would get a tip. I didn't demand it, but generally speaking, I got good tips as a cab driver. So anyway, we got luxury apartment complex number 1, luxury apartment complex number 2. Both of those buildings are considerably newer than this office building I was talking about right here. And this office building contains 2 major services that are social safety nets for homeless people and people that are having issues, financial issues that need assistance. And it really frustrates me that this is where they're located, because they've both been here for quite some time. The first one is right here. And this is the DES, Department of Economic Security office. I don't know if y'all can see that. Maybe I can put some light on it with Obamaphone 3. I'm just waiting for security to come here and ask what I'm doing. Trying to figure out when your hours are. Department of Economic Security. Your partner for a stronger Arizona. Family Assistance Administration, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm glad they're open till 5 p.m. For a while, I think they were closing at like 3 or 4. And there was a time you couldn't even walk in. Like you had to make appointments online or over the phone, which is a very difficult thing to ask homeless people to do. Just saying. I'm going to sign up there as well. So yeah, there's the DES office. As I mentioned, there's another service. Oh, I turned off my Bluetooth. I didn't mean to do that. Oh, turned off over rotate. I didn't mean to do that. I'm trying to turn off the flashlight. Come on, turn off flashlight. Thank you. It's nice having two devices. People ask why I have two phones, but it's, so I can do one thing with one and do something with the other. Sometimes multitasking and switching apps doesn't cut it, especially when one of those things is shooting video. And speaking of that situation, I've noticed one thing that is a common theme in people making social media, or particularly YouTube videos of their first ride in a Waymo, is, and I've lost track of how many videos I've seen that are like this. The person will be shooting video. Whoa, Jesus, this automatic sprinkler scared the bejesus out of me. Oh man, that was a moment. Oh geez. So there's a bus stop here. There is a bus stop right here. I love how Phoenix bus stops. I saw a YouTube video the other day where somebody was talking about how, and it was some big city, maybe it was Toronto? Might have been Vancouver. I don't know. I live in Arizona. Toronto and Vancouver are the same city to me. And if you're from Toronto or Vancouver, like, there's nothing alike. You can't tell me that Phoenix and Albuquerque aren't the same city to you. Come on now. I mean, I still struggle with people that live in Mesa that tell me they live in Phoenix. No, motherfucker, you live in Mesa. Mesa is not Phoenix. So yeah, there's a bus stop here. It says bus on the side. Y'all can see this is bus right there. There is no sign. We don't even have a stop number sign on this stop. There's no sign. This guy was doing a thing about how, the bus signs don't give enough information. They just show the route. And it showed there was at least a sign with some information. This bus stop doesn't even have a sign. It's just a bus shelter with the word bus on it. There's no sign. And if it did have the blue sign that should be here, I think it's odd that it doesn't have it, it wouldn't show what route stops here or what time that bus provides service. I did notice the signs in Vancouver, whatever Canadian city it was that dude's YouTube video was in. I did notice that it showed not only routes, but it showed what times the routes operated. Even if the sign was here, it would just be blue. And it would tell you, for more information, call 602-253-5000. Which, mind you, they don't keep really complete hours. That line shuts down before the bus service stops. And it doesn't start up until well after the bus service starts. So if you're outside of that phone number's hours, that phone number's borderline useless to you. And those signs, if it was here, which it's not, wouldn't even show you what route is here. Of course, if you've made it to this stop, you've already managed to get to the DES office. So you're just trying to leave. You can see they do have the trains going. Now this is interesting. This train looks empty, and it appears to be slowing way down. And since it is roughly midnight, I couldn't see. I can't read what the scrolling sign says. That's one of the new style trains, by the way. There's two kinds of trains that Valley Metro is running right now, and this is the newest one. So yeah, it's 12:01 a.m. Wow, that was an odd sound, wasn't it? Did you hear that? The way this train just stopped. And I'm hoping I can get some footage of this, because this is very peculiar how it just stopped here. And the way those blinkers are going, I think we're about to see this train turn left onto the rail, which takes it to the Valley Metro train yard. It's not something you get to see very often. I feel like I caught that in one of my vlogs not that long ago, though. Yeah, look at it go. You can see the blinking red lights up ahead, where eastbound Washington Street is stopped with a train crossing, and it just used the crossover track to go to the rails, which are generally used for eastbound trains, even though that is a westbound train. It's about to go underneath the Loop 202 freeway. I just saw a bus going across on the Loop 202 freeway, guaranteed that is a not-in-service bus. And yeah, the train's going to turn left and take that extension, that rail, which heads south to the Valley Metro train yard. Yeah, maybe I should be pursuing jobs in that line. Maybe I've had enough Amazon. I don't know. I feel like I put a lot into Amazon, and now's a bad time to walk away. And I would sure like to stay eligible for rehiring, considering they're the second largest private employer in the United States. I'm not sure where they rank in the world, but as an employee of Amazon, I'm not just limited to working in the United States. When I go into in fact, I had a pending transfer in my app, last I checked, to AZ, I think it's called AZU1, which is not far from here. Walking distance from where I live, kind of. my definition of walking distance is a lot different from other people's definitions, but I would walk there. Anyway, DES office right here. Notice that there's not a place to really easily cross the Strode and the train tracks here either. And there's a traffic light over there with some crosswalks, but that's a ways away. And then the next one's on the other side of the freeway, on the other side of the rail that, you know, goes southbound. I guarantee the people that are living in that luxury apartment complex there have no need for the services of DES or the next service provider that I'm wanting to show you all a video of over here. All right, and the property owner is doing a great job of watering the sidewalk, so I'm having to get my flip-flops wet, which is a little dangerous. I don't know, I guess it's kind of a good thing that the water seeps over to water those plants, but it does bother me when property owners have sprinklers that come on and water the sidewalk. Because I'm pretty sure that all of Arizona, particularly Maricopa County, is still technically in a drought and technically still has a substantial water shortage. But this office park, the Washington Business Park, which is 5324 and 5330 East Washington Street, Phoenix, Arizona, is watering the sidewalk over there. So I'm assuming this building here is 5324, where the DES building, where the DES office is. Can we see that address? There's the 5 and the 3 and the 2. I can kind of see it, but I don't see it well in my viewfinder because this thing shoots crap quality video at night. So anyway, the bulk of the building on my left is consumed by DES. In fact, I'm not sure what else, if there is anything. I guess I could come look at the sign. I'm not sure if there is much in this complex anymore beyond the two services for people who need them, civil services, whatever you call them, social services. Oh, Walgreens. Oh, there we go. Department of Economic Security, HOM, which is actually, that's Home Inc. I don't recall what HOM stands for. I do know it's an acronym. Oh, here comes another train. You know, wow, look at that. That is a super short train. Oh, look at that. Now that I've never seen before. That is a Tempe streetcar. That is a Tempe streetcar right now on Washington Street, on the 5300 East block of Washington Street. That is a Tempe streetcar. We are nowhere near where Tempe streetcar has service. So I did not know that. Those Tempe streetcars don't stay running all night. There comes a time where you can't get a ride on the Tempe streetcar. It's funny, all the roads are open for people to drive 24/7, but at some point those Tempe streetcars just simply stop. And apparently they take this rail all the way to the Valley Metro train yard, which also, I guess, I didn't know that. Tempe streetcars going there. As you can see, that one's crossing. Note to self, don't try to drive east around midnight on a weekday on Washington Street. Or you could get stuck waiting for trains that very slowly are crossing and going south. Wow, that is something I absolutely did not expect to see. Never thought I would see a Tempe streetcar in a 5300 block of East Washington in Phoenix. So anyways, I was saying, yeah, HOM, it's an acronym. I don't know what it stands for, but that's the housing program known as Home Inc., which I used. I was a recipient of Home Inc. benefits for about 14 years. I know I've mentioned that in the past. Apparently Walgreens also has offices here. Who'd have thunk? Anyway, the bulk of this building here is occupied by DES, and the bulk of this, it used to just be the very end of the building by where I'm at now, was occupied by Home Inc. But it appears that Home Inc. now has expanded their program and occupies the bulk of this building. Which, yeah, as I said, this building is 5326, so each building has its own address. Nothing interesting about the architecture. It's not unpleasant, it's just nothing particularly inspiring about it. And it's, as you can see, very low density, single story building, a lot of parking. Even though when I came here today, the bulk of this parking lot was empty because most of the people that use these services are living in poverty. They're getting assistance, either assistance from DES or assistance from Home Inc. Or if you're being efficient with your pedestrianized travels, you're handling both places at once. I certainly always tried to do that. So yeah, this used to be the door, as I recall, this used to be the door that you went in. Now it has a sign that says not an entrance to lobby. So I had my friend in the bitchin' Camaro stop right here to let the old lady who, as we dropped her off, was no longer dressed like a prostitute. About a 40-year outdated image of a prostitute, I might add. It's home to lobby, and this is where it is now. Michael Shore, designated broker. I'm not sure what that means. That probably has to do with the real estate here, the office complex. But Home Inc. Hours of operation: open 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Closed for lunch 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., which I think is awful. Like if you're here and you're waiting for assistance and you're here at midnight or you're here at noon, they kick you out until 1. And my friend did get kicked out. It was pretty tragic, which I think kicking people out who are waiting for services for an hour when it might be 115 degrees outside. It was not nearly that hot today. It was only about 103. Still, that's a pretty brutal temperature to kick somebody out into the... As you see, there's nowhere really comfortable to wait here, out of the air-conditioned office. Now, I did let her know that hey, there's a DES office over there. You can always go in there and act like you're waiting for assistance, and maybe just go in and say, hey, can I get some additional assistance? The worst they can tell you is no, and just exist there for an hour. But she wanted to know if we could go somewhere and get a drink, so she could get a drink. And my friend with the Camaro, of course, I can't answer that. I'm not the one driving. He was cool with that, and and then as we were driving to the nearest convenience store, which is nowhere near here, by the way. There's no convenience store anywhere near here. There's a full nude strip club pretty near here. But yeah, that's about it for businesses here. So pretty rough for the people who come to these offices that are impoverished and therefore are not driving, many of them, coming to get these services, these social safety net type services. And you'd think, oh, it's really nice. They located it on the light rail line. Yeah, it's along the light rail line. Oh, and there's another train going down the train yard coming from the west side. Yeah, we're nowhere near train stop. The closest one is the one called 50th Street Station, which is, as I've said, is kind of a misnomer because there is no 50th Street. But it's at like the 5,000 block. We're at the 5,300 block. In this part of Phoenix, each 100 is an eighth of a mile. So from here to there, it's roughly a half-mile walk, which isn't a long distance, but imagine you're a single mother and you're traveling with a couple of children in tow, one of which is a baby and a stroller. A half mile is pretty brutal, especially when it's over 100 degrees out. And today it was over 100 degrees out. Or in the situation of my new friend who was trying to get help, who's going to home meet. You're elderly and you don't walk all that great. I don't know how old she is. I'm guessing late 60s. You're elderly and you don't walk all that good. And due to the fact that you're homeless, you're carrying a bag with damn near everything you own in it, which is kind of heavy. She scratched her leg pretty bad on the bag. And I think part of that's due to the fact that her leg is kind of old and frail. And part of that due to the fact that, I don't know, it's just not a great bag for her to be carrying all her shit in. Maybe I should have helped her more with that. Here we go on the other side of it, more luxury apartments. I want to say these luxury apartments here, Mandarina apartment homes, I want to say that these ones were already here by the time Home Inc. located their offices there. I'm not sure about DES, when DES moved into that location. Most of the time I was on Home Inc., I was not getting any services from DES. And I don't want to go into all the details of what services I've received. I'm sure people will be like, oh, you're a mooch, mooching up the taxpayer dollars, blah, 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 blah. I paid taxes this year, by the way. I paid substantial income taxes this year. I did get my tax refund this week. I'm in a little bit better shape than I thought I would be in. Even if I did lose my job, I've got a bit of a cushion to maybe find another one, so that's comforting. And I mentioned that Rob has my car. I don't think he ever showed up at his office, at his shop today. He did not return my call, although on the same end, I did not return his text. And I called him after the text. I just didn't see the damn text. By the time I saw the text, it was so late at night that it was just like, yes, talk to him tomorrow, hopefully. Where'd that old lady go? I'm assuming she's... I could be wrong. Wouldn't that be some shit if she's like 4 years older than I am? It's not outside of the... I've met people my age that look old. Not that I look young, but as somebody who was not a regular viewer, a regular commenter on my channel, that was weird. Somebody shot something at my leg. As somebody who is somebody who commented who I've never seen comment on my channel before, who's not a regular viewer, probably not still watching. It's not like I have the most engaging content. It amazes me if videos consistently get as many views as they do. But, you know, it's the YouTube thing. I haven't really looked at my details as far as like how much people are actually watching to see if that view is somebody that actually watched the video or if it's somebody that just, you know, like got me as a recommendation because they saw one of my shorts and as they were scrolling and 20 seconds of it just happened to scroll by as they were scrolling looking for a video and it counted as a view. Because I do believe, I know that just doing that will sometimes put videos in my view history in YouTube. And I'm pretty sure that it goes to the view count. So, you know, out of the, you know, say 18 people that watch one of my videos, how many of them actually watch the thing or even listen to the thing, like all of it, you know, it's one, maybe. And this would be the point where I'd say hi, Mom, but I haven't heard from her in quite a while. I didn't hear from her all on Mother's Day. Of course, I didn't reach out to her on Mother's Day at this point. The only phone that has her phone number on it is, I can't unlock the screen, so I have no way to get at my mother's phone number. So I'm pretty cut off from a lot of people right now. Not in service. Yeah, we're in that fun part where there are no trains running, providing service where I am. There are probably still trains where somebody can ride from the far end of the train, which I think is Gilbert and Maine and Mesa, and can ride those trains to the next station, which is about I'm gonna say a mile up the road. Which by the way, when Home Inc. first located here, was the closest train station, because 50th Street Station was built after Home Inc. located here. Roughly a mile to the east. Let's say 5,300? 5,600 would be where it was, but it's actually further east than that. So maybe about 3/4 of a mile to the east. Between 3/4 of a mile and a mile to the east is the Priest Street Station at Washington and Priest. So yeah, the trains that are running this late at night, that are still running, because they do run after midnight. I'm not sure how much after midnight is. I can always check Obamaphone 3. It's only 12:18. Yeah, there's still some. There will still be more, I'm sure. No more buses running at this time, I don't think. But there's still some trains coming from the far end of the rail in Mesa. The farthest point being another one coming. I can hear the bells of the crossing coming up. Coming from Gilbert and Maine. Gilbert and Maine. I know there's sort of a path there that's sort of closed off going north along the 202. Someday I'm going to explore that. Today is not the day. Hey, here comes another one. Oh, I think this is another Tempe streetcar, though. I could be wrong. It looks like a Tempe streetcar. Looks pretty small to be a Valley Metro light rail train. I think we have enough light here that you'll be able to see it, even with this crappy-ass phone that I'm shooting video with. Yeah, there it is, using the crossover track. Not in service. Yeah, it's a Tempe streetcar. Little bitty green train, borderline useless, big waste of tax money. On its way to the yard. Yeah, so trains, those ones not in service at all. Well, they sure do travel a long distance from where their short little itty bitty route is in central Tempe to this train yard. It's downtown Tempe is quite a ways from here. But yeah, trains providing service from East Mesa around Gilbert and Maine to the western edge of Tempe, literally 2 blocks away from being in Phoenix at Washington and Priest. And then there are still trains running. I'm sure we'll still see some more coming from the far northwest valley. Well, not the far northwest valley, but far northwest end of the Valley Metro light rail train line, which is at Dunlap and 19th Avenue. Boy, I should do some videos about that area. That is a sketchy, crazy, fentanyl-infused part of town. And the last time I spent the night there, it was a pretty interesting night. I was offered all kinds of drugs, just offered them. Like, just here, share. Well, share, you seem like a cool guy. Offered them. I will say something, the homeless people, if they think you're one of them, they reach out and help a lot more than, the people that are driving around. I haven't seen anybody stop and ask if I need a ride, but the last time I was stuck at 19th and Dunlap and assumed by the homeless people there to be homeless, I was offered drinks. I wasn't really dressed for the cold that night. I was given a blanket so I could keep warm. I was offered, I think I was offered blues. Well, whoever was sleeping on this bench has left. It's interesting. Oh, there's one of the stops. I was trying to say that the signs that the last stop lacked, and of course it's so dark, this piece of shit phone isn't recording it. But hey, I got a light. Stop number 18077. There's the phone number. Go to 602-253-5000 or valleymetro.org/nextride. Call or text. Say Nextride. By the way, I've tried that thing. The call and Say Nextride. Yeah, that voice system will probably not be able to understand you due to the noise generated by the traffic of any stroad that has a bus stop. So thanks for that, Valley Metro, City of Phoenix. Or you can text 64274, enter NXRD, and stop number, press send. So what do you do if you don't have a smartphone? You sit and wait and hope. Sit and wait and hope. And until then, you have no way of knowing what bus route goes to that stop and when. Yeah, the guy that made that video complaining about his Canadian cities bus stop signs not having enough information needs to spend a solid week in Phoenix trying to navigate our bus system, and he'll realize that he's got something good where he lives. Although I've said it many times, the Valley Metro app, if you've got a phone, if you've got a flagship or near performance level phone, is an amazing app. If you've got an Obamaphone, or I'm really cheap and I'm getting the cheapest phone that you guys are offering right now, free with a contract of service type phone, if you have one of those bottom of the line phones, which is like what I'm rolling with since my iPhones are all dead at the moment, yeah, the app doesn't work very good. Way to not realize like what your audience is when you develop the app. Way to not take in consideration who would be using that app. But hey, I would imagine that YouTuber that was making that video probably has a pretty good quality smartphone. And if he came here, while he wouldn't get much help from the bus stop signs, who would realize how good he has it with the signs in his city in Canada, I would be willing to bet we've got a better transit app here. The Valley Metro app really is the best transit app I've ever used. I can't lie. It just doesn't work well on low-budget smartphones. So as I mentioned, like someone who's going to those services that's impoverished and on phone, if they want to get themselves something to drink during that hour, they have to leave the air conditioning of the Home Inc. waiting room. That's the only business that's anywhere near. And it was a good solid quarter-mile walk over here, maybe a little farther. La Girls. I do believe drinks at La Girls, after you pay the cover charge to get in there and realize you're surrounded by naked women, which, you know, I'm quite fond of naked women, but I know that's not what everybody wants to be surrounded by. Particularly single mothers that are out with their kids trying to get housing assistance. It's probably not what they want to be surrounded by. Yeah, I think the last time I went there, a soda was like $10. And that was like a decade ago, so I'd imagine they're more expensive now. Gotta be quiet, that guy's sleeping. All right. Almost back to where I started this video, because I know I started right by this gate for Tariva Castle, whatever the fuck it's called. I really should get the right pronunciation of that. As a functional Phoenix native, it's a little embarrassing that I don't know the name of it. Although the old lady who was rolling around with me and my friend today, she said that she thought it was the Wrigley Mansion. That is not the Wrigley Mansion. The Wrigley Mansion is in the Biltmore area, just north of the Biltmore Country Club. So, at least I'm enough of a Phoenician to know where the Wrigley Mansion is exactly. And a bit of the history of the Wrigley Mansion. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a mansion that was largely built by the proceeds of spam. And I'm not talking about the stuff that clogs your inbox, but rather the stuff that clogs the arteries of many Pacific Islanders and Hawaiians. It's delicious, by the way. If you've never tried spam, I highly recommend it. But, yeah, don't eat a lot of it. That shit's not good for you. Now, this is an interesting service, and I don't think I've talked about this much on any of my vlogs. That's the sign where I kind of zoomed in so you could see what looked like to be a homeless traveler based on his backpack and whatnot, but who knows? You never really know when you see somebody walking. Homeless or pedestrian. I'm sure I look homeless at the moment. Aside from the fact that I'm walking clearly with a cell phone, probably shooting video. Yeah, that sign there, it's called Ability 360, and it's the largest physical rehabilitation center for people with disabilities. And by disabilities, I'm people who are recovering from strokes, people who are blind, people who have lost a limb or maybe lost both their legs and are learning how to walk with their prosthetic legs, that sort of thing. It's a really amazing center. I learned a lot about that when my so-called girlfriend, I don't even feel right calling her that at this point anymore, but Priscilla, at one point she was pretty much completely blind. And that was a point where our relationship was actually still pretty good and pretty solid. And I took her to this place several times. And she was participating in several of their programs. In fact, she was learning Braille there because her vision had got to the point where she couldn't really see to read and was learning Braille. I know her vision is not good, and maybe I should be a better boyfriend and more supportive of that, but all I've been asking for all this time is a little vagina. I would be so much more supportive of her boyfriend if she would just be giving me that one thing, which she is not. It's kind of a deal breaker for me. Costco doesn't let me keep shopping there if I don't pay my membership dues. This is what it is. So, so I finally walked. I don't know how long that took, but it's a bit of a walk. But this is now the nearest light rail station. Which, anyway, my point that I've been rambling and coming from and trying to get back to is that I think it's pretty messed up that it seems to me that services for the impoverished, for the people in need, who very likely might be homeless, or at the very least are hoping to not be homeless, but are carless, are pedestrians, are dependent on public transit. Like, it seems like it should be a requirement that they should be located not only near a light rail line, but near a station. And the Home Inc. and the DES office doesn't meet my qualifications for near. I mean, yeah, I can walk this. I'm pretty damn fit. As I mentioned, there was somebody who came to one of my videos, fairly recent video, where I was walking through the Catholic cemetery over at Oak Street and 48th Street. And it's when I paid my, right at the end of last month, when I paid my rent, and I walked a couple miles more than I needed to because I forgot where the hell I was going. I forgot that I was meeting another bus stop Namper. Forgot where I was going, and forgot that I was meeting my property manager at the VFW, and was instead walking to his apartment, and got a good portion of the way there, and it was like, wow, I just walked 3/4 of a mile farther than I needed to. Ain't that some shit? And then turn around and walk back. And anyway, somebody who's, I don't think has ever, never seen them comment on my channel. Maybe they still watch. I don't know. No way of knowing. Yep, I was right. There's still trains coming from the west side. And for those people, I do believe this is their last. This may be their last stop.
This train's not in service. This train's no longer in service. All trains that are coming in here are not in service. All trains have ended for the night.
Were you all able to hear that? Probably not, because this phone does a terrible job of recording any sound that isn't my voice right next to the phone. If I was shooting it on Obamaphone 3, you probably could have heard it. Anyway, if you couldn't hear it, that was a voice of the conductor of that train saying that that train was not stopped, just slowing it down enough to say, hey, the train is not in service. All trains are done for the night, just in case there was somebody sitting there waiting for the train, waiting to get on it. I do believe, even though this is the last station for trains coming from the west side and points further north, before the spur route that goes south into the train yard, I do believe that I've been on that. I've been on that. Where I've been on one of those late trains and there's no. In fact, the very first night I ever rode a Waymo, that was my situation. I was riding a light rail train from, I think Osbar. I think I went out to Osbar that night. Still singing karaoke. Still trying to have something of a life, as opposed to holding up in my room, just trying to go to sleep and not wake up. I will not wake up again. And yeah, I went to Osbar, and I was hoping that Malika would come hang out with me there, because she said she would, and then she ended up not. I still hear from her every now and then. Oh, it's been a while now. At this point, I'm not making much effort to contact her. I mean, if she contacts me, I'll respond. But as I swore up and down before, I don't feel I was ever simping for her, and still enjoy the pictures she posts on Snapchat. But yeah, if she's she reaches out to me, I'll respond. But yeah, she was talking about coming and joining me there. And I figured I'd be rolling with her. She was rolling with some dude that was driving, because she doesn't have a vehicle now either. Hasn't for quite some time. And she was anyway, she was anyway, she said she was coming, and she said she didn't, and then she said she was, and then by the time that she said she was, I had walked to the light rail station over at 19th and Montebello, the one I like to refer to as the Christown station. And she was yeah, I'm gonna hit the beg button, and I'm just gonna watch. Hey, by the way, to the friend that's probably listening but not actually watching with the Fitch and Camaro, this is the bird that was lying down in a precarious situation when I walked by it earlier after I left the Circle K. I stood it back up. Its dashboard has been damaged. If I hit the button, it lights up with a lock, so it's presumably still putting out a signal to where somebody can come pick it up. But the top part is missing to where it can't be scanned and rented. I stood it back up in hopes that whoever owns it or contracts to pick it up, or Bird or whoever can come pick it up. Not gonna lie, if that thing was completely gutted and damaged, I'd probably be pushing it home and park that bitch out. Anyway, throwing that out there. While we were on our adventures today, we probably passed that bird like 3 times, and kept noticing it was just laying right there, like where the wheelchair ramp is, just kind of sprawled out, not looking so good. So I'm still looking. God, I don't even know what to call her. I mean, do I call her by her I don't even remember, did she say Roxy, or what'd she call herself? I'm Roxy. Trying so hard to sound sexy. It's really hard to sound sexy when you're it's really hard to sound sexy if you look like you're in your late 60s and aren't Susan Sarandon. I think Susan Sarandon could pull it off. I don't know how old she is, but she's still hot as fuck. Gotta throw that out there. At least recent pictures and videos I've seen. Recently saw some video of Pamela Anderson. There's an older woman still looking freaking amazing. If you don't follow German in Venice, I love his vlog. He just ran into Pamela Anderson last week, and I gotta say, in the video footage, she looked as excited to run into and meet Mike, aka German in Venice, as he was to run into and meet Pamela Anderson. I don't watch his vlog as much as I used to, but it's I enjoy it. When I can. His videos tend to be kind of long, and I know I'm not getting into LA anytime soon, and he's kind of moved on from documenting the homeless situation in LA like he was to other stuff, which is, no, it's fine. It's his channel. Do what he wants. As long as it's way better than mine is. But yeah, I'm like, oh my God, Mike ran into Pamela Anderson. I gotta watch this, and that was pretty freaking cool. Okay, I'm gonna use this opportunity to cross. I'm not sure if this counts as a unmarked crosswalk or not. I recently noticed they put up some fences around this property, temporary chain link fences, along with some skirting to stop people from being able to look into it. The last time I went across this property, which was probably might be closer to 2 years ago, which was at night, there was definitely there was a homeless encampment going on deep inside of it, with a handful of RVs and people living in vehicles and some tents. So I'm assuming the property owner, it's my understanding when that shit happens on private property, it's up to the private property owners to secure their property and deal with it. The city of Phoenix is only willing to do so much. Which is what makes the situation at the zone so completely different, because that's city property. Anyway, I just kind of recently noticed that this is fenced off. There's the sign. Vehicle emissions testing waiver referee down that street. Oh man, I just spent a whole bunch of money to get my car through emissions too, and talking about how frustrated I am with how much money I've spent on my car to spend the last month and a half as a fucking pedestrian in a car-centric hell. And I keep forgetting that I dropped a couple $100 to get it through emissions. I just dropped a couple $100 to get it to emissions. I completely forgot about that. It was just so overshadowed by the roughly $1,100 that I spent on insurance and the $40 or so that I spent on the registration. Just way less than I spent for emissions, but somehow I just kind of forgot about the emissions. And did I mention I just put a full tank of gas in the thing? That was over $50. So why am I walking south here? I'm straight up. I'm still looking for the old lady. I don't know what to call her. It feels rude calling her the old lady. And it almost suggests like I'm talking about my wife, because I know a lot of guys my age would call their wife their old lady. No, she's literally an old lady. Not saying that as a derogatory term. I know it comes off like one. I saw a YouTube short where a woman was explaining why women find female to be a derogatory term when men don't find male to be a derogatory term. It made sense what she said. Still think it's stupid. You females need to get over that shit. Anyway, yeah. Wow, are you still watching? It's been almost an hour. 58 minutes and 59 seconds. I'm still looking for her. I don't really know what to call her. I don't remember her name. Like she had said in a sexy voice when she still thought I was trying to hire her for a good time. As sex workers and homeless women like to call doing dates. Seemed like that's what she was trying to do. I think she called herself Roxy, but at one point she was showing me some paperwork, some stuff she was working on. I did see her name. There's nothing. Oh, Jesus. Ouch. Son of a bitch. Ouch. Yeah, the drainage is not good here. The sidewalk, pedestrian infrastructure is not good here. I tried to walk through there, and I slipped wearing my Adidas flats. Slipped and I skinned the shit out of my big toe on my left foot. I probably should take a look at that. Just get that clean before it gets infected. Fuck. Oh, it hurts. Oh, kind of it hurts. Oh yeah, I cut it. When I get home, I'm going to have to make sure that I clean that good. Owie. That kind of stings right now. Ouch. Should have been more careful. And I think if I'd have just walked to the other side of the street, I could have walked safely. Damn, my left foot is stinging right now. Holy shit, is it stinging right now. Ouch, 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 ouch. This is where I was trying to come to. 500 South 48th Street. Street closed ahead. Oh, fuck, my left foot hurts so much. "53-foot trailers do not enter. Use south entrance. Private property, no trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted." To be fair, if security comes up to me, I'm pretty sure I can open up my Amazon A to Z app and show them that I have provided I haven't been fired yet and locked out of the app, show them that I have a transfer pending to this location to work second half nights. Well, it sure doesn't look like there's anything going on here, but if I get approved for that transfer, I would be at work right now. It's a slightly different schedule than my current schedule. The shift starts a little earlier and ends a little earlier, which wouldn't break my heart any. It'd be nice to get home before the sun comes up and still work all night. Fuck, my left foot hurts really bad right now. I hope I didn't really fuck up my toes, but they sure sting. Anyway, I didn't see this sign here the last time I came here. It was fresh curbside pickup. Now, the last time I came here, well, maybe not the last time I came here, but certainly the only time I ever came here and actually went in the building, I came here to return something that Priscilla had ordered that she didn't, decided she didn't want and was returning. Yeah, that's a problematic thing. There's a lot of videos about it. I don't think she had a good reason to return it, but it's her stuff, it's her prerogative, her thing. And she returned it, and Amazon gave her the option of dropping it off here. This place looked radically different than like all these windows here, which apparently are going to a break room. We're not here. All of these tents were here. In fact, this area looked completely different than. So I'm thinking they were I'm assuming they were processing returns here then. I don't know why else they would ask me to drop that. Well, ask her. She had me do it, but ask her to drop that stuff off here. But yeah, this looks a lot different. All these windows are new. They weren't here. These areas, it just looks completely different than when it was here. But yeah, it was described as an Amazon Fresh warehouse. For those who are not familiar with Amazon Fresh, and I've heard forklift drivers not a position here, which is fine. I'm probably suspended as a forklift driver right now anyway. Hopefully it doesn't impact my ability to transfer. It would be working in cold storage. I've mentioned many, many times, I absolutely hate with a passion working in cold storage. But I've heard through the Amazon FC subreddit that Amazon handles that a lot better than most warehouses where you work in cold storage, as far as they provide areas to stay warm. They provide the jackets and the gloves and everything to keep you warm while you're working in cold and frozen storage. So maybe giving it a try. I don't know. But I could have just walked on this side of the road and instead I slid in that fucking standing water and hurt my damn toe. Kind of mad at myself for that, or being too lazy to just walk around it. I mean, granted, that's something that shouldn't be there, and the city of Phoenix should fix the goddamn drainage. But it's an injured foot I could have avoided. Anyway, still shooting video. I don't know how much space I have. Nobody wants to watch this shit, but This is kind of how I keep my sanity when I'm alone at night. Sometimes it's 12:47 a.m. I was thinking about maybe going out to a bar. I'm kind of glad I didn't. I'm not in as bad of a situation money-wise, but certainly that's no reason to be pissing it away. I really haven't had much desire to drink anymore. I have a lot of desire to go sing. Singing karaoke in a bar is a very therapeutic thing for me. While I'm singing, generally speaking, all the problems that I have evaporate during the duration of the song. It's the one thing that seems to make all the pain go away. Other than sex, which I'm not getting any of that right now. And no, I didn't make any attempts to get that from the old lady who was trying to sell me those services, whom I'm currently wandering the area looking for right now. I really needed, she needed help. And in her mind, apparently the way to get that help was standing on the side of McDowell Road, just west of 32nd Street on the north side of the road, dressed like a hooker, hoping she could get picked up, in spite of the fact that she looks like she's pushing 70. Hey, I still watch Lizard Hunter on a regular basis, and some of the women that I see working it, while they might be younger, kind of look worse. So, in terms of how damn fat they are. So, whatever. I'm sorry, you can't say that anymore. They're not fat. They're that's fat phobic to say that. What's the word? What am I supposed to say now? The politically correct term for fat. I forget. Plus size. There are definitely some, if there's room for plus size hookers on 27th Avenue, I suppose there's room for seniors. And hey, I know there's guys that are, in their 60s and 70s that are looking for love. I guess she's age appropriate, right? Anyway, I feel mean talking about her like this. She's a very sweet woman. I feel like her presence has been a big part of what got me through Saturday night, Sunday, Mother's Day, without any way to contact my mother. And into today. And I guess all through Saturday, come to think of it, I spent Saturday night with her as well. Because it was Friday. I think I've been saying the last 3 videos that I picked her up on Saturday night. I did not. It was Friday night. It was my last day I was shooting videos. It was Friday night. I went out on Friday night, walked from my apartment, just about got mowed down by a bicycle on the sidewalk on 44th Street. This 44th Street is not safe for bicycles, so bicycles feel the need to ride on the sidewalk, which makes the sidewalks not safe for pedestrians. Fix this shit. Come on, Mayor Kate. Fix this shit. Yeah, so they went to, anyways, that was the first video, which ended with me dropping my phone because dude nearly plowed into me on his bicycle. And then our next video is me walking, which I walked up upon a Waymo parked. I was curious if I opened up the Waymo One app and summoned a ride, if I would just be able to press the app button and open the door on that vehicle that was right next to me, and I totally was able to. It did charge me $6 and change, just shy of $7 for the ride to go roughly 3 blocks, less than a half mile to the Wander Inn. Not particularly a value in transportation. Judging on what I paid for my other Waymo rides, I want to say that that's just probably their minimum. you know, I should have looked at that before I said, okay, whatever. Not really complaining. I'm just wanting to point out that that's what it cost me. That's what it cost me. That ride was great. I shot video of that ride, and yeah, I haven't shot video since Friday night, other than, of course, I think it's my third video on my Monday night, early Tuesday morning. So we're well into Tuesday morning now, on a late Monday night, 12:52 a.m., almost 1 a.m. I still got an hour I could go enjoy at a bar. And I'm pretty darn close to Newtown. So going to Newtown sounds like a really good idea right now. And I know I should be looking for that woman, but I have no way of knowing where she went. I walked. You know, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass that I didn't get her a burner phone. I think I could have afforded that. I think we could have stopped, taken the bitch in Camaro to somewhere and got a prepaid burner phone to give her. Instead, I swear to God, I was not trying to ditch her at Home Inc. That was not the goal whatsoever. I was trying to help her out. She says she had a voucher for Home Inc. that was going to expire in 2 days, and that she'd been unable to find an apartment, and she was going to lose, that she had a voucher for a free apartment, but she hadn't been able to find an apartment, and she was going to lose it, and she was right on the cusp of getting housing. And that was literally me 6 years ago. That was literally me 6 years ago. Almost to the date 6 years ago. 16 years ago. A long time. Where'd all those years go? 16 years ago. I was homeless on the streets of Phoenix with my daughter Allison, who was only 2 years old, or maybe 3 years old at the time. And it's almost her 21st birthday. Anyway, it's on the streets with her. I had her 3 days a week. The rest of the time we did a custody exchange at the Phoenix Police Department, where she went to her mother. Her mother and I had no communication. I'm sure she suspected I was homeless, but she had no way of knowing because we really didn't communicate. It had already been brought up in court that I was homeless. The judge, props to the judge that I was dealing with at that time, that was Judge Grant, for saying, because I've seen other judges go the other way on this, saying that my being homeless was not an adequate reason to deny me parenting time and access to my daughter. That as long as I was able to provide an adequate place for her to be on the days that I had her, that I was still going to have her, at which point the judge and I had a discussion about how I would do that. A good friend of mine named Emerald, I haven't talked about Emerald in a long time, used to own a computer shop near the 44, where I think I was still doing karaoke when I started this vlog. It might have been, I don't know, I think I started this vlog maybe shortly after I lost my gig at the 44. But anyway, one of the bars I used to karaoke at near 43rd and near 43rd Avenue and 43rd Avenue in Peoria. In Glendale, just barely over the border, across the border from Phoenix, like on the Glendale side, Phoenix, Glendale border. Inside that strip mall where the 44 was, or still is. I think the last time I went there, they were still in business, surprisingly. That woman owes me money. Whatever. I'm sure it's too late for me to do anything about it. Yeah, there's quite a bit of money she didn't pay me for karaoke services rendered, but the time to do something about that is long since passed. Anyhow, so Emerald used to have when I met him, he had a computer store in that strip mall there. We used to be pretty good friends. I have no idea what happened to him. We haven't communicated in probably over 16 years. I think I lost touch with him around the time that I got my apartment through Home Inc. But, God, why was I talking about Emerald? Oh, anyway, yeah, it was the time that I had the hearing with Judge Grant, and the ex-wife was trying to say, well, I'm pretty sure he's homeless. Which point I was like, well, I know, I'm to a point, it's usually a good idea to be honest in court, you know. Of course, don't, you know, don't self-incriminate, but I did say that I had places to stay, but that yeah, I did not have my own housing at the time. But anyway, I described some of the places that I would be staying, and I had mentioned that my friend Emerald had given me a family pass, a family 1-year pass. Like, he'd just given to me, so it had the better part of a year left over on it, to the Science Center, which is a fabulous place to bring your toddler to, by the way. If you have a child that is between the ages of 3 and 10, 12, Arizona Science Center. Amazing place to go with your kids. You know, I kind of miss going there myself, but I think if I went there by myself, I just look like a creeper without a kid. But yeah, on the days that I had, I believe it was Wednesday that I had Allison all day, like from the morning to the evening. I didn't bother trying to find a place for us to stay. We spent most of our time at the Science Center. And I did tell him that yeah, that was one of the places, like, you know, I said I could imagine us spending a good portion of our day there. Like, we have that, she loves it. And the judge kind of lit up. He thought that sounded pretty awesome to him. Like, wow, you know, the average middle class parent probably couldn't pull that off because they wouldn't have the time. So pretty cool. His concern was my overnight visitation that was ordered, because I did have one overnight every week. I was supposed to get her on Friday afternoon, and then I didn't return her until Saturday night. And there was a stipulation, and I love court orders and laws that are vague. In fact, my friend with the bitchin' Camaro, while we were at that pizza place right over there, we were talking about smoking patios and the way that some places have created quote-unquote smoking patios that barely really push the definition of what is a patio, and saying, well, I hadn't read that law, but it's kind of funny because sometimes laws are very specific, but then you can very specifically adhere to the bare minimum of a law, and it looks like you're skirting around that law, but really you're not. You're just following it to the letter. And then other times laws and court orders are just really vague. And it's kind of open. That was her in the bus shelter. It's not. Sometimes laws are really, really vague. You know, and Judge Grant's orders, for the most part, were very, very specific. And pardon me if I might be confusing different custody orders that I had back when Allison was little, because it orders did change a few times, and maybe I'm remembering a clause that was from a previous order, not Judge Grant's order. But I think this was in Judge Grant's order. Pretty sure it was. Some of his were very specific, like just with specificity to the point, because Daniela went through this my ex-wife Daniela went through this whole thing where she just went, by the way, I would keep going north on 40th Street to go to my place. It's quite a bit of a walk to UAZ 1, but it's definitely a doable walk, and I think I could walk there in the amount of time it's currently taking me, well, currently, as in like before last week, to take the bus all the way out to GYR3. And honestly, I think it'd be affordable for me to just actually use Waymo every day, or I was going to say use Lime, but it's east of where I can use Lime. But yeah, I could see myself walking it sometimes and Waymo me sometimes. Or I could just fix my own damn scooter. I thought that was on the agenda for the Camaro tonight, but haven't heard back from him. So he said he had tonight off, but I know I took up a good portion of his day today, and he seemed pretty tired when he was bailing out of my place to go home, and then I kind of stuck him in rush hour traffic doing that drive, and I feel bad for him. He lives on the west side. So. Anyway, yeah. So he. Custody with my daughter, Allison. Anyway, the order, I think it was the one Judge Grant did, where he was very, extremely specific about the places and the times of the exchanges, because Daniela had this huge history of not following the custody orders, because we'd had joint physical custody orders for a while at that point, and she had a long history of not following them, and then every time I'd get her in court, she'd be like, she'd go down and think of, well, I felt threatened. I thought he would hurt me. I thought he would hurt my baby. That's his baby, bitch. I felt threatened, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, Judge Grant asked, hey, where would you feel, and he was asking her, hey, where would you like the exchange to take place? Where would you feel safe? What would be a good place? And she couldn't answer it. It was a gotcha moment for sure. I should really make some videos of that stuff, because at this point, like, Allison is an adult, and that stuff is, whatever confidentiality that once existed with it is long since expired. And it's my case anyway. And what's Daniela going to do about it? She's dead. I mean, Allison might not like it, but, whatever. Wow. Somehow I don't think that fire hydrant is going to be of any help to anybody in the case of a fire. Yikes. City of Phoenix got problems, people. On the other side of Tavera Castle, by the way. Can you all see it? Zoom in on it. More luxury apartments on the left. This is a funny area. We got lots of complexes of luxury apartments and lots of homeless people wandering around. But you never know. Are they homeless? Or are they just lonely pedestrians? I know I look homeless right now, but I'm a lonely pedestrian. Anyhow, so yeah. They kept asking Daniela, well, where do you want the exchange to take place? And it was really clear that she didn't want the exchange to take place. Like, she thought in her head that if she just made excuses for, I just don't feel safe, I don't feel she's going to be safe, blah, 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 that she could get the judge to not order visitation. Bitch, it doesn't work like that. There's already been findings that I'm at least a capable father, and that I'm certainly capable of handling her 3 days a week. That's already been ordered. We're having a contempt hearing. You're in contempt of not following the order. The only thing you're getting by on the fact is it was a little bit vague. And it's a kind of weak sauce excuse anyway. So you need to be specific. Oh, so it wasn't specific? We're going to get very specific. And anyway, she was obviously, she finally, Judge in frustration turned to me, Judge Grant did, and he goes, well, where would you like the exchanges to take place? I said, I feel bad even suggesting this, but for her protection and also for my protection, I think the safest place, since that's where I always end up eventually filing a report when she doesn't comply with the orders, to the point that they know me there, I think the safest place would be Phoenix Police Headquarters at 7th Street and I'm definitely conflating two different orders, by the way, because it's all coming back to me. I said 7th Street and Washington, and he ordered it after he went on this interesting speech about how it was a really great speech from a judge. Really would like to put it on YouTube. Went off on this at-length speech about how he didn't like to order exchanges at police departments because it's bad for the child, for the child's psychology. It's bad for it's a bad experience for the child, and it puts a lot of bad negative things in the child's. It's not a good childhood experience. Not a great way to grow up. It goes in light of the history of this case and the mother's apparent inability to come up with a better suggestion. I'm going to order it. And by the way, what just occurred to me and came back to my memory right now is that this was a different order. I was conflating orders when I was saying that there was an exception for my homelessness. I was not homeless at the time of this. Now, I did become homeless shortly thereafter, but I was not homeless at the time I had the hearing with Judge Grant. At the time I had the hearing with Judge Grant, I was actually living in a historic house in downtown Phoenix that's on the, if not the National Register of Historic Places, on the Phoenix Register of Historic Places, called the Emerson House. Try to put a link to it in the description, video description. I actually lived in the Emerson House for a short while. I never had electricity in the Emerson House. That's a separate story for a second time because I made it to Newtown. But, wow, and I wonder what the big green City of Phoenix notice is here. That's usually for pending application of a liquor license. Maybe they're changing ownership. Public notice, pending application for liquor license. Liquor license applications be Wednesday, 6/14/23, 2:30 p.m. Council Chambers. I wonder if the bar's changing ownership. That's certainly something to ask the bartender when I go in. This isn't a bar I go to often, but it's a neighborhood bar. It's not really where I want to be right now, but I'm thirsty, and they've got like a vodka-based punch here that's actually fairly inexpensive, quite refreshing, and I think 2 of them would do my head good right now. Anyway, yeah, so I was living in the Emerson House. The homeless thing wasn't an issue. In fact, I think Daniela tried to raise the issue, at which point I was like, no, I live at the Emerson House. It's a historic house. I described it. The judge was actually familiar with it. It's a pretty notable landmark, especially for people who are into that sort of thing. So yeah, it was pretty cool living at the Emerson House. And Daniela didn't know that we didn't have electricity. So it's when I was living with Connie, who was an older woman that I actually did acknowledge as a girlfriend. But like the old lady I'm kind of looking for right now, Connie and I actually had sexual relations, and they were good, all things considered. But as old as Connie was in my mind back then, she's probably younger than I am now. Oh, where did all the years go? Yeah. So,